Hello and welcome. Welcome to Naropa University on this wonderful occasion of the inauguration of our 8th President, Dr. Paul Burkhardt. My name is Charlotte Rotterdam. I am the director of the Center for the Advancement of Contemplative Education and a faculty member here at Naropa. And it is my great honor and pleasure to be your MC today. In this inauguration, we have come together to acknowledge, to celebrate, and to empower Dr. Paul Burkhardt as our next president. And at the heart of our time together, there will be an investiture ceremony in which Paul will take the presidential oath. There will be a lineage offering, and then Paul will offer an inaugural address. In preparing for today's event, however, I was wondering about perhaps the inner meaning of inauguration. The word inauguration comes from the Latin word inaugurare, which means to install under good omens or to consecrate. And its origins lie in ancient Rome, where the so-called augurs were called upon to understand and interpret the will of the gods and hopefully bring good fortune to the new ruler. So at Naropa and in our modern day, how might we understand gods? And I would relate this to the network of spiritual traditions which lie at the heart and the roots of Naropa. We might say that our taproot, Naropa's taproot, lies in the tradition of Tibetan Buddhism, the lineage of our founder, Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche. And so today, we call on the blessings of this rich, potent, and ancient tradition. But in addition, Naropa's heritage includes an intimate connection to numerous traditions whose wisdom and wisdom holders have inspired and continue to inspire our curriculum, our practices, our community. And so in this inauguration ceremony, we would like to acknowledge, to honor, and to call upon the many blessings of our spiritual inheritance, that they may bring clarity, insight, abundance, and wisdom to you, Paul, our new leader, and to this new chapter of Naropa's story. There was another part. Yes. There was another part of the etymology of inauguration that really fascinated me. So in trying to decipher the omens of the gods, the ancient Roman augurs would look to the patterns of birds flying in the sky. So Colorado, as you all know, is an amazing place to look at the sky. It's vast, it's open, and it's a great place to observe the flight of birds. And I've been watching since I've been, I've been watching the skies, and I'm afraid to say I can't tell you anything particular about the patterns of birds flying in the sky these days. But what I can tell you, and what we do see when we look into our beautiful Colorado sky, is its vastness. And when I think about what it must be like to be a bird flying through the sky, what it brings to me is that incredible freedom and potentiality of being able to move in any direction whatsoever. Right? Birds will glide, they soar. Sometimes they just flutter right in place like a hummingbird. Sometimes they fall into a thermal and they're carried way up, so far you can barely see them up in the sky. And other times they dive, like an arrow meeting its mark. So, in the spirit of inauguration, this quality that I've just spoken to, I also want to invite us today to invite and invoke that brilliant spaciousness, that vast potentiality that is the sky. And so may Naropa, in this new adventure with you, Paul, at our helm, may we enjoy the freedom of unbounded possibility as we serve our students, our community, and our world. I'd like to begin by opening the shrine, which is here behind me. And this shrine is set up in the tradition of the Vajrayana Buddhist tradition. To open a shrine is on one hand to honor, to acknowledge our lineage. It's also, in this case, a way to acknowledge the sacredness of our world. And at a very intimate, personal level, it's a way to remind us of our own awakened heart, mind, which is always present. And so, in whatever way you do this for yourself, as I open the shrine, please touch in with those qualities yourself. And now I'll invite you to an opening bow, the Naropa bow, which opens and closes all our classes, our meetings, our gatherings. As you can see, if you're new to Naropa, everyone's sort of assuming the position. So basically, that just means take your seat, feel the earth, connect with each other in the space with our intention for this day. And as we bow, we will acknowledge each other's presence and the beauty and the potency of this moment together. So now I have the pleasure of inviting my dear friend and colleague, Sean Goodman, the Director of Mission, Culture, and Inclusive Community here at Naropa, to offer a land and labor acknowledgement.
Dear ones, may this offering awaken a spirit within us as an institution to move from performative ritual and symbolic gesture to restorative practice. We live on stolen lands, benefited by broken treaties, and propped by the labor of the displaced, disenfranchised, coerced, and enslaved. Let our gathering today kindle not comfort, but accountability. Fumbling, imperfect, ongoing. We recognize the gifts of land and labor and invoke a capacity to act from compassion and connection. May our presence together serve not as absolution, but as a vow to transform our partnerships, remembrance into repair, and inherited structures into equitable relationships, for justice, for healing, and for futures rooted in dignity. Let us begin with gratitude. We gather in this moment, sustained by the very ground upon which we stand or sit. Thank you, Earth, for all you provide us, the substance of our very bones, the earth within us. Thank you, fire, for igniting the passion within us. Thank you, air, for which we breathe the winds of change. Thank you, water. Mini Wachoni. Water is life, flowing, piercing, shaping. And we give thanks for the space we inhabit in this time, in this life, in this body. Thank you to the spirits of this place, Nalanda campus, Naropa University, Boulder, Colorado, the Rocky Mountains, in the middle of the North American continent, here on our sacred Mother Earth. Let us give thanks to the peoples who came before us, who came before Naropa, for the ancestry of this place, the generations of people across deep time, those who tended to this place, those who nurtured the land, those who prayed, and those who yearned for justice despite adversity. Now let us speak plainly. This institution, Naropa University, like so many institutions, stand on land forcibly taken from indigenous peoples, the original land stewards, whose presence persists today despite centuries of erasure. Let us name the Arapaho, the Cheyenne, and the Ute, nations whose lands we settled, and whom were dispossessed from their lands and forced into reservations by the United States government. Call to mind the 574 tribal nations who span the landmass south of the Arctic Ocean to the Isthmus of Panama, west to Hawaii, and east to the Caribbean islands. Can you name the people from the land from which you were born? That's a good place to start. Let us name our nation's dependence on coerced and invisible labor, the very wealth, buildings, and economic systems built on the backs of enslaved Africans, a diaspora who, despite all odds, inspire our minds with richness and vibrancy. Let us name the migrant workers who built our nation's infrastructure and continuously feed us. And let us name the undervalued, often unseen labor of those who clean, maintain, and care for our very spaces. Every thread of our society is woven, sometimes torn, by hands, by lives, and stories, too often silenced. To merely speak these truths without altering how we live and work is itself an act of harm. Ritual comfort cannot substitute for courageous, strategic, and compassionate action. As members of Naropa University, let us invoke the values of contemplative education, eco-social justice, and genuine, beloved community. We are called not only to witness, but to act, to examine both inner and outer, our institutional priorities, to address how colonization and racialized exploitation color our legacies and shape our very reality. Let us see ourselves as participants in both history and possibility, bridging the inner work of reflection with the outer work of repair, awakening to new and ancient wisdom that beckons us toward restoring relationship, not just as individuals, but as a part of something greater, on behalf of all earthbound beings. Let this acknowledgement at this time, a new chapter in Naropa's 500-year experiment, open a space not for passive reflection, but for active commitment. May it challenge each of us and this institution to build right relationship with Indigenous people and the people of the global majority, and build right relationship with all communities displaced, enslaved, and exploited. May it move us from mere words to collective action with resolve and humility. Let our gathering today and every day catalyze reparative dialogue, restorative dignity, and inspire courageous, active hope in ourselves and in our beloved institution. Let us go forth together, guided by gratitude, emboldened by honest reckoning, and determined to enact the healing of our moment for all life on earth and future generations to come.
Thank you, Sean. I spoke earlier about the number of traditions whose blessings come into this place, and I'd like to introduce one of the holders of those lineages, Rabbi Tirza Firestone, who's with us today. And Rabbi Tirza is an author, she's a Jungian psychotherapist, and a leader in the Jewish renewal movement. She was ordained by Reb Zalman Schachter Shalomi, who was Naropa's Second World Wisdom Chair. And we're honored to have you with us today.
Thank you, Charlotta. Well, I approach this shrine, this dais today with the calling in, invoking the presence of my teacher, Rabbi Zalman Schachter Shalomi, and whose fringes I wear around me today to bring in his presence. And I invite all of you to invoke the ancestors upon whose shoulders you stand today, the relatives, the spiritual allies, and the teachers. We already are I was asked to make an invocation, but we're already deep in the heart of prayer, I feel, today. So I will begin with an excerpt from a poem by Ada Limon. I think of that walk in the valley where Jay said, "You don't believe in God?" And I said, "No." Well, I believe in this connection we all have to nature, to each other, to the universe, to the cosmos. And she said, "Yeah, God." So whether we are a deist, a theist, a no-thingist, let's join ourselves for a moment to deepen our prayer. Take a breath together, conspire together. A moment of presence. Open awareness in the presence that is called by countless names, which I will call today Ruach Elohim, the living spirit that is moving outside these walls and the wafts of wind and inside our beings as breath and will and desire and intention. We bless your presence, your inscrutable mystery, who brings us together today, who brings us together every day, who stirs our blood, our bones, who animates our world, who gives and forgives and gives again, granting us a new day, a new chance to begin again, to inaugurate a new cycle, a new chapter, new leaders, a new link in the chain, long chain of transmission. Today is, in fact, in my tradition, Shabbat Breshit, the Sabbath of Genesis. It's when we open the scroll once again, the great and ancient scroll, the genesis of new beginnings. So fitting, a day that we gather to proclaim no kings, no tyrants, to proclaim a new vision of leadership, a new link in the chain of wisdom transmission, a new dream of a world of collaboration and cooperation, of creative conspiring that is breathing together into the unseen, yet unforeseen, and new possibilities. We bow before you, great mystery, in this time of Earth's upheaval and extremity, regression and repression, of risk and yet of resilience. We pledge to begin anew, to turn the wheel toward more humane, toward more sane life, toward the inclusion of all our parts, the vulnerable and the differently abled, the marginalized, within ourselves and beyond ourselves, beyond our comfort zone. Today we bless this institution and the angelic guardians who called it into being years and centuries ago, the lineage of leaders who envisioned this crucible of consciousness called Naropa University, who grew it from a sacred spark, a seed of an idea, to a flame of embodiment in this community and far beyond. We bless this faculty, all of you who created and cultivated and fertilized with your good efforts what has manifested in the grace of God, and the many students whose souls were and are being nurtured within its ever-changing walls. We bless this new president who takes his place today in the great chain of leadership. May he, in all his efforts, be blessed with wisdom and insight, the spirit of guidance and awareness. And may all of us be blessed to take our rightful seat in the great mandala of becoming. We thank you for this moment of potency, with our ancestors present, with our invisible co-creating forces present within us and beyond us, felt and palatable, when new life arises within to co-create great and good new possibilities. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rabbi Tirza. Now, a number of our Naropa community members would like to offer words of welcome to you, Paul. And we'll have representatives from the various constituencies of Naropa. So our fearless leader today will be Regina Smith, who's the Vice President of Mission, Culture, and Inclusive Community and the Chief of Staff. And also with us will be a board member, Samantha Sanderson, faculty, Anna Donalo, student, Case Shepard, staff member, Tashi Browder, and an alumnix, Aaron Monsika. So welcome, Regina.
Good afternoon. In addition to being the Chief of Staff and the Vice President for Mission, Culture, and Inclusive Community, I'm also a Naropa alumnix. And so as I stand before my teachers, I ask for your grace if I should misspeak anything that you have taught me. As taught within Tibetan Buddhism and practiced at Naropa, our community can be understood as a mandala of wisdom energies, a living system of interdependence and transformation. Each person, role, and function contributes to a greater balanced whole. Every part of this mandala, students, staff, faculty, trustees, and alumnics, holds its own unique energy, yet finds completeness only in relationship to all others. The diversity among us is not an obstacle, but a rich expression of wisdom itself. This afternoon, we welcome Dr. Paul Burkhardt and his partner, Dr. Zoë Hammer, into this living mandala of Naropa, a community that has been pioneering contemplative education since 1974, when our visionary founder, Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche, established the first accredited Buddhist-inspired university in North America. The tradition we honor today, represented by the 5 colored banners before us, is Maitri space awareness, rooted in Tibetan Buddhist teachings and central to our curriculum since our founding. Maitri reminds us that all beings possess an inherent quality of basic goodness, a brilliant sanity and natural clarity of mind. This is not mere philosophy, but lived experience. Through contemplative practice, we learn that all states of mind, no matter how difficult, can be met with friendliness and transformed into wisdom. These 5 energies, in a very simple way that I'll present them, are represented by blue, or Vajra, which is mirror-like wisdom, the clarity that sees without distortion or bias, sharp and precise intellect that can be used in service of the greatest whole. Yellow, or Ratna, the wisdom of equanimity, stable confidence, generosity, and appreciation for the multifaceted richness of all life, like the earth that sustains everything upon it. Red, or Padma, for warmth, passion, compassion, and wise discernment, an authenticity that can connect you with all beings. Green, or Karma, all accomplishing action, the energy of effectiveness, discipline and effort applied without aggression or strife, and white, representing the Buddha energy, spaciousness, openness, vast enough to hold all beings as sacred, the infinite awareness that forms the foundation of our mandala. Together, we can embody these energies individually and collectively. From this foundation of contemplative awareness and beloved community, we dare to proclaim Naropa's ongoing commitment to education that transforms not just the minds, but our hearts and our spirits. Dr. Burkhardt, President Paul, as you step into leadership of this 500-year experiment in awakened education, you join a community that embodies the leadership the world needs. We are contemplative, we are courageous, and we are committed to the flourishing of all life. And may we support you in every way so that you may do the same. And now, from each aspect of our mandala, we will have our various welcomes to you as our new president.
Hello, everybody. My name is Samantha Sanderson, and I am a trustee of the board of Naropa University. On behalf of the board, it is my great pleasure and honor to welcome you to the inauguration of our new president, Dr. Paul Burkhardt. Thank you all so much for joining us for this joyful celebration. The board has had the good fortune of bearing witness to the dedication and passion of past presidents, past and current faculty, staff, students, alumnics, and friends of Naropa over the years. Each and every one of you has contributed in a multitude of ways to keep the spark of Naropa alive and thriving for the past 51 years. We are now at a powerful moment of transition and transformation as we build together what Naropa can and will be for the next 450 years. The board feels tremendous confidence in Paul's exceptional experience and vision. We also believe he understands and cares deeply about the mission and values of this special place. We have been impressed, to say it lightly, over the past 2 months by how deeply he has immersed himself in all things Naropa, while skillfully engaging in creative problem solving and deep collaboration across all levels of the university. He brings wisdom, curiosity, and courage, as well as a profound depth of caring for others. This will all help guide us through the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead. So today, we are celebrating a new chapter of our beloved university and embarking on the shared journey of envisioning and co-creating the Naropa of the future. President Burkhardt, the board is so happy to welcome you to this role and stand with you in shared commitment to the future thriving of Naropa University. Thank you.
Hello, I am Case Shepard. I am part of the student union. I'm one of the co-chairs. Jonathan Carey is the other co-chair. I did have a speech written out, and then I remembered, it was a really good speech, by the way. I remembered what it means to be a student and what I'm learning here. And what I'm learning is to speak from the heart. And so I can't speak for the entire student union or the student body. There's just no way. We are so diverse, and we are so hungry and curious and passionate, and we all have this really amazing, unique voice that is welcome to everyone, and I just want to welcome you with that. The relationship between student and president is a very unique situation. It's full of curiosity, vulnerability. It needs to have communication, transparency. And within the first few moments of meeting you and having just a couple of months of having you at Naropa, I've seen you bring that. So I am really excited to, on behalf of the students, welcome you to Naropa. And also, I hope that we can move forward because within this curiosity, within this vulnerability, within this communication, transparency, because that's where the magic happens. That's where Naropa happens. That's where we create this beautiful magic that we can take with us. And yeah, everyone keeps talking about 500 years in the future and the years in the past and the present. That's all magic, and we're all creating it, and we can all do it together. So we welcome you and look forward to our time together. Thank you.
I'll invite you to take a breath in. And as the breath out happens, notice how it fills up the entire space. Not just echoing in the walls, but echoing in the invisible spaces of our heart. My name is Ana Dinalo, and I represent, in this moment, my fellow faculty. And before arriving, I prayed, I said, allow me to speak with truth on behalf of many. Paul, it has been wonderful to meet you in these past few months. And as I understand, wholeness comes about as we embrace our deepest, deepest fears. This moment in time brings many tidal waves that are large, cold, and tall. And many of us fear they might engulf us. we are collectively staring together straight at an iceberg. And still, wisdom keepers on this wooden boat called higher education, higher learning, higher wisdom, higher love, gather as we look towards stars, guiding us through uncertain waters. I invite us to take a breath in and let the breath out just fill up the space. You have accepted to lead. Lead us in a great turning, a time of great change. You have said yes. I have said yes. We have said yes. If you say yes, I invite you to place your hand on your heart and breathe into that which is untouchable, unchangeable, effable, with a breath in and a breath out. Paul, thank you for saying yes. Thank you for being a light, bearer of humility, truth, and compassion. On behalf of the faculty, I extend a blessing and a deep welcome. So with that, I offer and invite all faculty to send a bow of gratitude. Let us take a big, big, big breath in and offer up your fullest exhale out.
I'm Tashi Browder, the Administrator for Student Success and International Students and Scholar Services. On behalf of the entire staff, I'm so honored and delighted to have this opportunity to welcome you both, President Paul and Zoe. There's a real sense of optimism and excitement in the air as we look toward the next chapter for Naropa. Our teams get to be at the very heart of the student journey, and it's a privilege we don't take lightly. We're often the first hello to a prospective student, a reassuring voice guiding them through the admissions process. And once they're enrolled, we become the friendly, steady container from their very first day, right through to graduation. Day in and day out, we get to see the real transformative power of Naropa's mission. We see it in the students who come here seeking a degree and more, a deeper connection to themselves and the world around them. We are inspired by the vision you've shared for the university, and we believe in the bright future ahead with you at the helm. Please know that we are your partners. We have already rolled up our sleeves and are ready to work with you to continue building Naropa's unique legacy of contemplative education. Together, we can make sure Naropa remains a beacon for every student looking for a more compassionate, mindful, and engaged way to live in this world. So, on behalf of the entire staff, welcome to the Naropa family. We are so glad and grateful you're here. And finally, as our founder, Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche, would say, in the garden of gentle sanity, may you be bombarded with coconuts of wakefulness. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Aaron Mansica. I'm on the Board of Trustees, but at this moment, I have the privilege and responsibility to embody the spirit of the alumnus community. I graduated in '04 with a master's in environmental leadership. I'm going to read to you, actually read the purpose of Naropa. We exist to cultivate compassionate, creative, and critical engagement with an ever-changing world through the discipline of contemplative education. But since we often hear that this place's approach to education is referred to as a 500-year experiment, I want to relanguage that a little bit and actually put the purpose out there as a hypothesis. It would go like this. Through the discipline of contemplative education, we can cultivate compassionate, creative, and critical engagement with an ever-changing world. Well, as any responsible experimentalist, we keep a close eye on the experiment's output. That is, the people who have graduated with the Naropa education. Well, its alumni community spark new businesses, lead breakthroughs in counseling, pioneer art and healing. We serve as teachers, we serve in politics, we serve as laborers and as social entrepreneurs and as parents. And more than anything, we bravely show up. We bravely show up to situations and to moments as peaceful warriors, trained in crazy wisdom, perhaps daunted by what we encounter, but nevertheless experienced in keeping our seat through any fire. We, the 8,000 alumnus community, the experiment's output, we bring the experiment deeper into the world, all over the world, like 8,000 little white blood cells floating through our social systems. Dr. Burkhardt, President Paul, we 8,000 welcome you as the president and as the chief experimentalist.
So many beautiful voices. Thank you. Now we will enjoy a musical offering by Sheila Bringy and some fellow musicians. Sheila is an adjunct faculty in our World Wisdom tradition, where she teaches Indian devotional song and kirtan, and she's an internationally renowned sacred music performer and recording artist. And today she's joined by her partner, virtuoso world jazz guitarist Eldon Kelly. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Charlotta, for that very gracious introduction. So as today we celebrate new leadership at Naropa University, it seems fitting to play and sing a song whose message carries that of awakening and of unity and of truth. So this is a bhajan, or a Indian devotional song, that is popular throughout South Asia. It's called Raghupati Raghava Rajaram. And it was Mahatma Gandhi's, one of his favorite songs, and it became really a prayer for truth and nonviolence during the time of India's independence, movement for independence. And the song carries a message that God is called by many names, but we are all connected by one universal consciousness, by one universal divine force, right? And we're also praising here this beautiful figure, Ram, who is a king, who is an embodiment of joyful service and of truth and light and clarity. So this is also a beautiful example of a song that has taken on new roots as it crossed the ocean, as it were. It was a favorite song of Alice Coltrane's, who she recorded it, called it Sita Ram, and it's also one that many artists have recorded, including myself. Raja Ram Patita Pavan Sitaram Sitaram Jaya Sitaram Bhaj pyare to he Bhagavan. Ishwara Allah tero naam sabko sanmati de Bhagavan. Raghupati Raghav Raja Ram Patita Pavan Sitaram Jaya Raghupati Raghav Raja Ram Patita Pavan Sitaram Sitaram Jaya Sitaram Bhaj pyare to Sitaram. Ishwara Allah tero naam sabko sanmati de Bhagavan. Ishwara Allah tero naam sabko sanmati de Bhagavan. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram 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 Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. So we have a very special surprise guest here who is going to lead a musical invocation and blessing for the new president. So I would like to invite Sri Devi Bringi. She is retired faculty, core faculty in yoga studies, wisdom traditions. She helped to found the yoga studies program, and over 2 decades inspired many, 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 many students in contemplative Hinduism and yoga nidra and sacred Sanskrit and goddess traditions of India and much more.
Namaste, and so happy to be here to welcome our new president, Paul Burkhardt, and offer a beautiful, heartfelt farewell to President Chuck Leaf. So this Sanskrit chant is a series, it's a garland of verses from the Vedas, from the Upanishads, from Tantra, from the Puranas. And it was something I sang to Rinpoche in 1975 at the Boulder Bookstore upstairs where Naropa Institute used to be. And my newlywed husband and I, Sheila's father, were going hand in hand on Pearl Street, and Rinpoche called us and took us upstairs. We didn't know who he was, but I knew who Naropa was. And so we went upstairs to the shrine room, and then he asked me to chant. He said, "You're from India, chant." Command. And I've chanted this also to our former president, Tom Coburn, during one of our convocations and at his farewell. So when Rachel asked me to be a beacon of continuity for Naropa from mother to daughter, this transmission, I felt this is the appropriate chant. So all of you have a part in it at the very end. Because at the very end, this chant says, "May the goddess of learning, Goddess Saraswati, she who plays the veena," and I'll be doing some actions while I'm singing towards the end. And the goddess with the 4 arms, as she sits on a lotus, and she shoots flower-tipped arrows at all seekers, all beloved hearts seeking her. So we want to send a shower of flower-tipped arrows to Paul. So the visualization is this. And when I do it, then you do it. And then there's also, it ends with the word namaste. So when I come to that part, I want you all to join in that. So it's this and this, this and this. Jnananandamayam Devam Nirmalaspatikakrutim Adharam Sarvavidyanam Hayagrivam Tvameva Mata cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravinam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Deva Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Manikya Veenam Upalalayantim Madalasan Manjulavagvilasam Mahendra Niladyuti Komalangim Matanga Kanyam Manasa Smarami Chaturbhuje Chandrakalavatams Kuchonate Kunkumaragashone Pundrekshu Pashankusha Pushpabana Haste Namaste Jagadeka Mataha Namaste Jagadeka Mataha. Namaste, 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 Jagadeka Mataha. Namaste, 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 Paul, namaste, namaste,
Zoe,
namaste.
So beautiful. Thank you so much. Do you feel the blessings in the space? Do you feel the joy of blessings in the space? It's wonderful. Thank you. All right, now I have the honor of welcoming some new guests to Naropa who are dear friends of Dr. Paul Burkhardt. And I'll just briefly introduce them. Dr. Anita Fernandez, who's a professor, an organizer, and a teacher educator who worked closely with Dr. Burkhardt at Prescott College. She's also the executive director of Chicanek's Institute for Teaching and Organizing. Welcome, Anita. And also welcome to Ren Manning, who is an organizer, an artist, and the co-director and director of education at Border Links in Tucson, Arizona, where they build migrant justice movements through place-based popular education. I want to invite you to look at both of their bios online because they are spectacular in terms of the work that they're doing in our world today, and it's such an honor to have you here.
Good afternoon. My name is Ren. I use they, them, AE pronouns. I've had the joy of knowing Paul, as well as Zoe and Anita, for 14 years, as people who deeply shaped my worldview, as mentors, colleagues, and dear friends. It feels serendipitous because I almost went to Naropa. Attending Prescott College instead meant meeting Paul, and Zoe actually presented me at my graduations, so it is a full circle to accompany you here today.
Buenos dias, my name is Anita, I use ella, she, her pronouns. I have known Paul for almost 20 years. He and Zoe have become like family after many years of working and building together. I was lucky enough to have Ren as both an undergraduate and graduate student, and now to have them as a colleague, collaborator, teacher, and friend. So when Paul invited the two of us to introduce him at his inauguration, Ren and I decided to do so collectively.
Our charge is to illustrate what prepares Paul for this moment and how excited we are for Naropa to have him as a leader.
Paul's leadership qualities are informed by a variety of frameworks and experiences. From his Master's of Arts degree focusing on Chicana feminist literature, you probably didn't know that part, to leadership theories from the Global South, environmental justice perspectives, social justice education, and cultural studies, to name just a few. So today, Ren and I want to frame this introduction of your next president with some leadership principles we've witnessed firsthand to give you a broader picture of who Paul is as a leader and a person from the perspective of a former faculty member and administrator working under his supervision, and a former student while Paul served as dean and provost. Paul has demonstrated his innovation throughout his career in many ways. However, we're going to focus on a few stories personal to us. And it's important to note that Zoe, as my colleague and Ren's professor, also played a central role in many of these projects. So the first story we want to share is how Paul led what was called the Diversity and Inclusion Committee at Prescott College. and responded when students of color began making demands, including demands for a faculty of color hire and a chief diversity officer position. When the student demographics slowly began to shift at the college, the student group APOC emerged. In their own words, APOC, or angry people of color, were, quote, questioning where we fit inhabiting indigenous lands at a private institution in one of the reddest states in the nation, end quote. And while many of our faculty and admin panicked when this group was formed, and at its name, Paul understood why students were angry and the historical roots of the institutional racism that they were experiencing. Under his leadership, we addressed the students' demands and welcomed the efforts they made, securing 2/3 of the student body's signature in support of hiring faculty of color. Not only did Paul support these demands, he systematically put into place curricular structures to ensure all of our students learned about institutional racism and systems of power by supporting the development of a first-year experience. He invited a senior diversity officer, actually from this very institution, Suzanne Bonali, who is now co-chair of your Board of Trustees, to meet with our diversity committee and share how Naropa was addressing some of these issues. Suzanne had a profound influence on our work, and Naropa's first-year experience became our roadmap for Prescott College's first-year experience. In the end, we won our faculty of color hire, and years later, we got our chief diversity officer position. So the connection to Naropa actually started many years ago, and this story is one of many highlighting Paul's willingness to listen to both students and faculty, co-construct a plan of action, and support making that action come to fruition.
Critical courses and internships with migrant-led organizations sparked my commitment to material change and led to my senior project, a student community effort to establish a scholarship for undocumented students at Prescott College. When approached, Paul offered insight to decision-making in the university. First, we got Freedom Education Fund approved by the Board of Trustees on the condition that we raise the funds, so we built power across language, race, and immigration status to do so. Finally, seeking to institutionalize the scholarship and increase impact, we consulted Paul about how to pass a campus-wide fee. Paul found there would be precedence if we gathered over 50% student support. We launched a campaign and won. With a $30 per student per semester fee, we trended on national media, becoming the second university in the country to have a fee-funded scholarship for undocumented students. Paul was pivotal in making the Freedom Education Fund extend to one full ride a year and a master's as well. I want to share, at one point we considered a sit-in in the president's office, but we realized we didn't need it to win. In our small liberal arts college, we could strategically win through collaboration and relationship. Paul supported student and community leadership. He understood the importance of access to higher education for those who are systemically excluded.
So leading up to the Freedom Fund years, the state of Arizona outlawed the teaching of ethnic studies, specifically Mexican American studies, eliminating the most successful high school ethnic studies program in the nation in Tucson Unified School District. I worked closely with the teachers and leaders of the program and had my college students involved in their classes and supporting the movement to save ethnic studies. In a strategy to continue the outlawed program, which had flipped the quote-unquote achievement gap for youth of color, we held Sunday classes for high school students in Chicanx literature, which Paul agreed to award college credit to, and also supported the development of Chito, a grassroots educational collective made up of me and several of the program's leaders, continuing the legacy of that program by training teachers in the Mexican American Studies pedagogy. 14 years later, Chito has trained over 10,000 educators and administrators and are leaders in ethnic studies professional development across the country. By supporting these projects, Paul modeled how to use resources to support the community, and also his trust and respect in his faculty, trusting my expertise in my field. He understood the political conditions and saw this opportunity to act on the college's social justice mission, leveraging the college's resources for a critical community movement.
Another example of using the college's resources was during the 2020 Black Lives Matter movement, when students and faculty mobilized alongside a young Black community member's call to march. When militia far outnumbered protesters and tension rose, we decided to march from the square to campus. Several militia members followed us. We called Paul to give him a heads up. As we turned the corner chanting, there was Paul on the edge of campus. He told our followers they could not enter, no weapons allowed. This was the best use of private property I've seen. Paul co-led my first-year course, in which we learned how the roots of privatization severed humans from land and from each other. We canoed rivers, slept under stars, learned from time on Dene land, and reflected deeply. And here at the march was Paul, applying the tools of a private college as protection with creativity and strength.
Paul is passionate about place and place-based education. His home is the Southwest. He's from the borderlands, having grown up on the border in Yuma, Arizona. He is what we affectionately call a desert rat. He is happiest on a river in the mountains, practicing mindfulness and contemplation while paddling, hiking, writing, and deep in study about wherever he lands, learning about the history of the land, the original people of an area, and how indigenous ways of knowing can and should inform how we work and live in community. He and Zoe both invest deeply in whatever community they join. This leads us to why it's so critical to have a leader like Paul today, someone committed to their community, willing to innovate, and most of all, with a deep understanding of this political and historic moment. As we face attacks not only on universities, but also on free speech, teaching accurate histories, on immigrant communities, and on trans and queer lives, Paul is prepared to face these challenges.
As we face attacks on activists, journalists, nonprofits, elected officials, and faith leaders, and human dignity, Paul is prepared for this moment. Every day at Borderlinks, I witness love in the face of violence as my community organizes to build broad power and refuses to be divided. Both Anita and I work with communities most impacted by militarization of the borderlands and escalating ICE raids. We are engaged in local and national coalitions. Our work now was ignited in that era with Paul and evolved to meet this current moment. Paul centers that kind of love in his work every day. Paul has a lifetime of movement building. He holds a steadfast commitment to students and their well-being. He embodies a vision of universities as transformative and powerful. We believe Naropa, too, is a visionary place of possibility. Together, you are prepared for this moment. So, with that, we have a few closing offerings. First, to the Naropa community, be bold in bringing your ideas to Paul. Treat him as your collaborator. Use this opportunity of shared leadership and commitment to liberation to create something incredible together.
And now to Paul. We never get to give you words of affirmation or advice. So thank you for this invitation to introduce you.
Keep innovating.
Let Naropa see your brilliance, thoughtfulness, humor, and joy for life.
Be courageous and compassionate.
Never forget your roots.
Stay grounded, keep growing.
And remember, there's always enough time for a mountain bike ride.
Finally, we want to present you with a gift. The obvious choice would have been a full-length canoe, but we decided that with traveling by plane, well, better to give you something small to ground you in home. Creosote and a print of the community mural, Let It Weave Us.
Thank you, and I can't help but saying thank you to our fellow brothers and sisters at Prescott College for sharing this beautiful human being of Paul Burkhardt with us here at Naropa, and may our institutional connection remain strong and deepen. So thank you so much. So now we will move to the formal investiture ceremony. And during this ceremony, Dr. Paul Burkhardt will take the presidential oath, and then he'll be offered the presidential sash by Naropa's Board of Trustees co-chairs Mark Wilding and Suzanne Benally. The sash is a symbol of the office of the president. It has Naropa's colors, gold and purple on it, and it has a seal that was placed on it by Naropa's founder, Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche, and the seal is an image of a scorpion who represents protection. I think you'd want to be protected by a scorpion, eh? After that, Chuck Leaf, our dear President Emeritus, will offer a lineage offering, and then we'll hear directly from Paul for an inaugural address. So welcome to the stage, Paul, Suzanne, Mark.
With the blessings of the 2,500-year-old Buddhist spiritual lineage, in accord with the guiding vision of our founder, the Venerable Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche, in the presence of the Naropa University Board of Trustees, faculty, staff, students, alumnics, and representatives of lineages of our former world wisdom holders, Zigar Kungtrul Rinpoche, Reb Zalman Shakhtar Shalomi, and Roshi Kobun Chino Atagawa, and other great friends here today. I, Paul Burkhardt, take this oath and vow as the 8th president of Naropa University. As president of Naropa University, I vow to advance the tradition of deep learning exemplified by the great Indian scholar and meditation master Naropa, who was courageous in his pursuit of wisdom through the union of rigorous scholarship, contemplative depth, and direct experience. Inspired by the example of Naropa and that of the wisdom holders of traditions, cultures, and eras who have pointed to the inherent human potential for wakefulness, for compassion, and for effective action. And in accord with the legacy of the Venerable Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche, who taught that when East and West meet, sparks of insight arise, who initiated the cultivation of personal discipline, meditative training, and academic study. As the foundation of the Naropa educational journey, and who saw that personal, communal, and social transformation should be joined in this splendid university. And with gratitude to a half-century legacy of brilliant faculty who constantly enliven the academic and contemplative mission, and the staff who have created and nurtured the container which is Naropa University. The generations of students whose insights, keen minds, and open hearts are experienced every day, and with the unflagging support of donors, alumnics, and friends. I vow to promote and protect the mission, vitality, and stability of the university, to provide for the well-being of all who join this learning community, to fulfill all my legal responsibilities, leadership and management as president, to explore, communicate, propagate the benefits of contemplative education, to bring Naropa forward with vigor, integrity, and skill, and to manifest in my life and actions the intention and values of Naropa University, acting in accord with the disciplines of gentleness, fearlessness, humor, and meditation in action. Thinking only of fulfilling this vow, I commit myself to carrying out these duties and this vision, and hereby take this oath. Please graciously accept this commitment and grant me the action of unsurpassable benefit to others.
I believe we just did it, but welcome Dr. Paul Burkhardt, our new president.
Oh, happy day. From the time of the historical Buddha, Siddhartha Gautama, countless men and women have created the conditions for the protection and the evolution of the many activities defined as the Buddhist lineages. Naropa University's 51 years is a blink of an eye in the historical 2,600-year-old Buddhist tradition. That itself is a tiny dot in the cosmic Buddhist stream that extends beyond any sense of ordinary space and time. And yet, despite the relative smallness of every moment in time, we're taught that each one holds the entire universe, past, present, and future, suffering and liberation, aggression and compassion, ignorance and wisdom, and the choice to stay asleep or to wake up. From the beginning, Naropa University was established as a Western expression of India's Nalanda University, which for 600 years from its founding in about 500 CE, Nalanda served as a beacon across Asia for scholars and artists, and as a place of robust and respectful interfaith engagement, and a training ground for teachers and activists and leaders. Our Naropa reflects the traditions of Nalanda, bearing witness to the suffering and challenges of today's world. We invite, with humility and with confidence, a community to join together to affirm the basic goodness that each sentient being we encounter manifests, to commit to lifting the veils of individual and social delusion through contemplative practices, academic and creative disciplines, personal and social transformation. The space and time we inhabit today is precisely the best moment, and those who surround and hold us have exactly the right ingredients for personal and collective liberation. The same is true for every moment yet to come and every being yet to appear. Paul, you're the holder now of our Naropa lineage. All the past streams of whatever merit earlier generations of Naropa students, faculty, staff, and supporters may have generated through their discipline and generous actions have come together today in one point, and they are symbolically held in the sash that you now wear. Your vision, wisdom, pragmatism, and good humor now have a home at Naropa. The Naropa community pledges our full support, commits to taking this journey together with you. We have your back as we trust you have ours. May we all grow and celebrate together for the benefit of all.
Students, staff, faculty, trustees, friends, family, good afternoon. What a wonderful day. What a beautiful ceremony. How overwhelming. Hopefully all my tears are already out. But if not, I ask for your forgiveness. Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Lodi. I appreciate that. Today I am honored and humbled to be inaugurated as the 8th president of Naropa University. And I'm filled with gratitude for the many ways that the Naropa community has welcomed me and Zoe and embraced and supported us in our first months here. I'm also grateful for the moving invocation, the powerful land and labor acknowledgement, the generous offerings from the musicians, from Naropa students, staff, faculty, alumnus, and trustees. And many thanks to all the staff who put in the hard work and creativity to make these events happen and happen so beautifully. Finally, I'm really grateful to all those who have joined here together, both in person and virtually, including my mom, Linda, Zoe's mom, Kathy, who had to zoom in because she got taken down by a fever, but she's going to be okay. Our son, Coleman, and his partner, Audrey. And I can't tell you how meaningful it is to be introduced by my dear colleagues and friends, Rin and Anita. Thank you for your kind words and for recollecting the stories of our shared adventures together at Prescott College. More importantly, thank you both for the critically important work you do as educators, organizers, and social movement builders. I remain inspired and invigorated every day by the work that you do. Thank you. And being presented the sash by Mark and Suzanne and receiving the lineage offering from Chuck, what honors. And what a blessing it is to have the opportunity to work with and learn from Chuck, Judy, Mark, Suzanne, Marty, and so many other trustees, faculty, and friends of Naropa who have dedicated themselves to this university since its very founding. My deepest appreciation to you all for your continuing support. Thank you. Over 50 years ago, during an earlier period of social, economic, and cultural upheaval, Naropa began, yes, the great 500-year experiment. Many people in this room today were present at that founding moment. Then, when the mindful teachings of Tibetan Buddhism came together with the creative power of the beat poets, Naropa began developing the mission, the values, the pedagogy, and the practices that form the foundation for an enlightened society. And today, Naropa continues to model the servant leadership, the transformational leadership, towards the world we want, towards the world we need. Naropa's approach to contemplative education, its mindful and playful engagement, its reinvention of utopia day in and day out, its ongoing commitment to creating space for every wisdom, tradition, and way of spiritual practice, its development of courage, creativity, collaboration, and solidarity in action. Naropa's approach to contemplative education is the remedy, the cure the world needs now to quiet the rising waves of division, fear, greed, and apathy we face. One of the early teachers at Naropa was Amiri Baraka, an African-American poet, philosopher, and activist. Baraka's work explored ways in which our future grows from our history, emphasizing that histories of struggle against violent forms of domination provide the essential foundation for imagining and building movements to end suffering and to create an enlightened society. Baraka's theme resonates widely today, including in the inspiring title of Lakota scholar activist Nick Estey's book, Our History is the Future. In it, Estes places the 2016 Dakota Access Pipeline protest at Standing Rock within the centuries-long struggles for decolonization. His analysis locates wisdom traditions in social justice movements themselves, alongside the forging of critical consciousness. This analysis inspires me, and I just love the declaration, our history is the future. Likewise, at Naropa and throughout his work, Amiri Baraka argued that people's history, their culture, their music, their poetry, tells and retells the ongoing story of past struggles and evolution, and also prefigures the ways that we might move forward into a more mindful and liberated future. Our future is built by remembering, reclaiming, centering, reflecting on, continuing and furthering developing the visions, the struggles, the lessons learned, and the victories of the past, not by ignoring them, and certainly not by allowing them to be erased. Rising authoritarianism around the world and right here at home promotes fear and division. Out of this fear and division, the history of Naropa and the histories of all people struggling to create a more life-affirming future call us to forge opportunities for developing our practices of courage, creativity, and solidarity. Fear is being cultivated through spectacles of brutality and the cruel language of dehumanization in a cynical attempt to justify trading off the rights and well-being of an expanding list of groups and people so that a small number of individuals can overaccumulate wealth, hoard resources, and expand their power to dominate people, institutions, cities, nations, and nature herself. One of the central tactics of this death-dealing plan is the erasure of historical records, institutions, monuments, and straight-up historical facts, for the purpose of wiping out our collective consciousness of struggles for liberation and of our access to the wisdom and praxis forged in movements. But not at Naropa. Since the founding sparks flew some 50 years ago, Naropa has brought together teachers and artists from across different cultures and wisdom traditions. The philosophies, the performances, the spiritual practices from people's pasts are living history books of their lives, struggles, and their resilience. Bringing them alive through practice and performance today is not a passive remembrance, but an active process of asserting these histories as a foundation for our future action. Learning from and building upon the struggles of the past is political practice, a social action that forges connections across geographies and cultures, that builds institutions, strengthens communities, and moves us towards a world in which many different worlds fit together. Given the current attacks on history, on ethnic studies, on academic freedom, and on truth itself, we can say now that Naropa's own history is the future. Naropa's history is the future of higher education for the future the world wants, the future the world needs. At Naropa, the disciplines of mindfulness, courageous compassion, and creative expression are woven into the culture of the learning community. They invite us, they empower us to engage the world, not with cynicism or fear, but bravely with presence, purpose, and care. Earlier this week, I joined my first community practice day, a truly beautiful tradition of Naropa. Each semester, we pause all classes and close all offices so that the community can come together for a whole day of mindful practice and contemplative learning. The day began with a song entitled Red Like Blood, written by Ishi, a current Naropa student, and Ishi was joined in the performance by her mother, Madi Sato. Their song blessed the morning with breathtaking power and beauty. Then stretching and movement led by our faculty member, Lisa Chatham, followed by sitting and walking meditation guided by faculty Yurka Haladis. These practices prepared the community for a keynote panel composed of teachers from 4 different wisdom traditions: Hindu, Sufi, Ifa, and Tibetan Buddhist. Together, they explored the theme, Practice as Liberation, an Interspiritual View. This dialogue expanded last night at the launch of the Fetzer Institute's Shared Sacred Story project, in which these panelists were joined by other scholar practitioners that Fetzer had invited together to tell the stories of their religious traditions as a gift back to the world. This project invites the human family to unite under a common story, the story of who we are as one global human family, connected across our differences. These teachers shared philosophical concepts, language, stories, and practices from their different traditions, and although the practices and languages were distinct, clear alignment and patterns emerged through the dialogues. The practices all moved towards clarity, recognition of fundamental goodness and dignity of self and others, and comprehension of the interconnectedness of all beings, towards fulfillment and wholeness, away from selfishness and fear, towards compassion and love. The practices were not just individual or interior, but profoundly social and historical. The panelists recognized the importance of spiritual practice as a foundation and as a pathway towards social and ecological liberation. From spiritual practice as liberation to historical liberation through social action. As Dr. Rambachan put it, the accomplishing of the accomplished. Our history is the future. This past month, we've begun to gather students, staff, and faculty, and trustees to plan together Naropa's strategies to address the challenges facing higher education and our world. As the landscape continues to shift and change at record speed, universities need to keep pace. This means that this year will be one where community, communication, and trust are more important than ever. Through our collective planning processes, we have begun building relationships with new partners who share our values, and we are mobilizing our community around opportunities for growth and for positive transformation. We are excited to have taken the initial steps in building Naropa into a larger university system, united in solidarity with other mission-aligned colleges and universities. Together, we will expand the reach of contemplative and transformational learning and multiply the impact of our missions. As students, staff, and faculty come together for this community building and for this strategic planning, I'm really inspired by the courage and creativity of our community as we think, dream, and envision how Naropa will continue its evolution. We will continue to grow Naropa's leadership in contemplative education. We will foster a culture of belonging that leaves no living being behind and challenge systems of oppression that inhibit human dignity and resilience. We will embrace regenerative ecological practices and renew our sacred relationship with the earth. And as we co-create the next chapter for Naropa, we will remain rooted in our founding principles while courageously imagining and rehearsing our future together. In doing so, we honor Naropa's legacy and affirm its role as a beacon of mindful, meaningful, and transformative education. Naropa's history is our future. One of the critical elements in all of our planning is to ensure that a Naropa education remains affordable for all. Policy shifts and reductions in federal financial aid are creating new challenges for students who are already stretching themselves financially, emotionally, and spiritually. Beginning in fall 2026, Graduate Plus loans will be eliminated. Each year, more than 300 of our Naropa graduate students rely on this funding, receiving an average of $21,000 per student, over $7 million in total per year. For many, this support is what makes earning a Naropa degree possible. Without it, too many bright and dedicated students could see their dreams put on hold. That's why, today, I am very excited to announce the creation of the Resilient Futures Scholarship Fund. The Resilient Futures Scholarship Fund represents a promise. Our promise that even in uncertain times, Naropa will remain steadfast in its commitment to making the transformative power of a contemplative education affordable to all students. At Naropa, our students are preparing to serve the world in extraordinary ways. They are developing the inner strength, clarity, and compassion needed to heal and to lead. We invite our community today and our friends to work together with us to help grow the Resilient Futures Scholarship Fund. Your generosity will help ensure that our brilliant students can continue this work no matter the financial barriers they face. To get things started, Zoe and I have made an initial $10,000 pledge, and I'm thrilled to share that this week 2 other donors have already stepped forward with $10,000 pledges of their own. If you're in the room here, you will see that you've received a Resilient Future Scholarship card, and the QR code will take you directly to the donation form, should you be so inclined. And for our online guests, there's a donation link in the chat. And as we speak, an email is being sent to our entire Naropa community of more than 12,500 alumni and friends. So I invite you, whether you're here in person or online, or whether you do it today or in the future, to consider joining us in building this fund and helping to secure a future for Naropa students. Just imagine if every one of our 12,500 community members and friends gave $100, we could raise over $1.2 million for direct support of future Naropa students. Every contribution makes a difference, no matter how big or how small. Whether you give 10 or 10,000, your support is an investment in the next generation of mindful, compassionate leaders. Our history is the future. Naropa's students and graduates are the future. Now is the time to believe in the courage and capacity of our students, and in the future they are already shaping and will continue to transform. Together, we can ensure that Naropa continues to illuminate the path toward a more compassionate, conscious, and connected world. I thank you for considering a donation to grow the Resilient Futures Scholarship Fund. In closing, I'm going to offer my intentions and my aspirations for our community for the coming year. May we be brave and courageous in our learning and in our practice. May we be wise and timely in our planning and in our actions. May we be compassionate and kind with one another and ask for honest feedback and accountability. May we remain steady and support and believe in one another when the world feels uncertain and even threatening. May we really know and truly feel the love and the power of the Naropa community together. Through our creativity and our solidarity, may we transform the many crises facing the world into portals toward a more beautiful, just, and flourishing future for all beings. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul, for so beautifully honoring Naropa's history. And thank you for guiding us into our future. Thank you. So another lineage of blessings that I think you've been hearing about is our lineage of the arts that has been so alive at Naropa since the very beginning. And so now I have the wonderful pleasure of inviting Valerie Shong, who's the chair of the Jack Kerouac School of Disembodied Poetics, to share a poem. This poem is from Diane de Prima. It's called Revolutionary Letter Number 68. Val-
May it come that all the radiances will be known as our own radiance, the Tibetan Book of the Dead. Cacophony of small birds at dawn. May it continue. Sticky monkey flowers on bare brown hills. May it continue. Bitter taste of early miner's lettuce. May it continue. Music on city streets in the summer nights. May it continue. Kids laughing on roofs, on stoops, on the beach, in the snow. May it continue. Triumphal shout of the newborn. May it continue. Deep silence of great rainforests. May it continue. Fine austerity of jungle peoples. May it continue. Rolling fuck of great whales in turquoise ocean. May it continue. Clumsy splash of pelican in smooth bays. May it continue. Astonished human eyeball squinting through eons at astonished nebulae who squint back. May it continue. Clean snow on the mountain. May it continue. Fierce eyes, clear light of the aged. May it continue. Right of birth and of naming. May it continue. Right of instruction. May it continue. Rite of passage, may it continue. Love in the morning, love in the noon sun, love in the evening among crickets. May it continue. Long tales by fire, by window, in fog, in dusk, on the mesa. May it continue. Love in thick midnight, fierce joy of old ones loving. May it continue. The night music, may it continue. Grunt of mating hippo giraffe, foreplay of snow leopards, screeching of cats on the backyard fence. May it continue. Without police, may it continue. Without prisons, may it continue. Without hospitals, death, medicine, flu and flu vaccine, may it continue. Without madhouses, marriage, high schools that are prisons, may it continue. Without empire, may it continue. In sisterhood, may it continue. Through the wars to come, may it continue. In brotherhood, may it continue. Though the earth seem lost, may it continue. Through exile and silence, may it continue. With cunning and love, may it continue. As woman continues, may it continue. As breath continues, may it continue. As stars continue, may it continue. May the wind deal kindly with us. May the fire remember our names. May springs flow, rain fall again. May the land grow green. May it swallow our mistakes. We begin the work. May it continue. The great transmutation. May it continue. A new heaven and a new earth. May it continue. May it continue. Thank you.
Thank you. Dear Naropa, may you continue. So we are coming to the close of this wonderful celebration, and to offer a closing blessing, I invite Osho Dan Sigmund to join us. Osho Dan is a trustee of Naropa and is an ordained priest in the Soto Zen tradition of our dear wisdom holder, Kobunchino Roshi. So thank you so much, Osho Dan, for representing that lineage here.
Namu Kie Butsu, Namu Kie Ho, Namu Kie So. Homage to the Buddha, homage to the Dharma, homage to the Sangha. My teacher, Kobunchino Otagawa Roshi, became quite close to Naropa's founder, Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche, finding a kindred spirit in a fellow Buddhist iconoclast. Kobun visited here many times over the years, from Naropa's earliest days to the final years of his own life. He loved this place and was honored to play a small part in its flourishing. I'm not sure what Kobun would say today if he were standing here to offer his blessings in my place. Trungpa himself is reported to have said, "Kobun's silence says more than my words." And so quite possibly he wouldn't have said anything at all. But I have been asked to offer some words. Buddham saranam gacchami, Dhammam saranam gacchami, Sangham saranam gacchami. We take refuge in Buddha. We take refuge in Dharma. We take refuge in Sangha. May our new president, Paul Burkhardt, also find refuge in these three treasures. May they guide him in his task of leading us forward. Sabe sata sukita hantu, sabe sata avera hantu, sabe sata abhyapanja hantu, sabe sata aniga hantu. May all beings be happy. May all beings be free from hatred. May all beings be free from malice. May all beings be free from suffering. As this university is a place of learning, may Paul guide every student, teacher, staff member, and friend to recognize their interconnectedness with all beings. May he help us all act with care, generosity, and compassion in every thought, word, and deed. May his leadership be guided by the auspicious qualities of generosity, virtue, discernment, patience, and wisdom. May Paul always act with skillful means and compassion, bringing benefit, harmony, and inspiration to all who study, work, and gather here. May he embody the wisdom of those who have come before, leading with presence, clarity, and simplicity. May his decisions be made with mindfulness, challenges met with patience, and success celebrated with humility. May he help students develop insight and wisdom, teachers act with skillful compassion, and all who serve here contribute to the flourishing of knowledge, understanding, and peace. May each day of study and practice bring us all closer to a world of awareness, respect, and kindness. May Paul and his leadership and this whole community prosper in wisdom, courage, and compassion. Now let us bring our hands together in Gasho and end with a moment of Koben's famous silence and Seijaku, stillness. Namu kie butsu, name kie ho, namu kie so. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to thank everyone who shared words, music, vision, story, presence. I think our room is filled with blessings, and so at the end, as we do in all good practice, we give it away. We send it out to all beings in our beautiful, perhaps hurting world, to be of benefit to them, and we leave this space empty. So with that, I invite you, and we will have one more closing piece, but after that, I invite you to two things. One is a reception, which is going to happen that way, which is south in the atrium. Good things to eat, beautiful company. The other invitation is that when you go out into the Colorado sky today, look into the sky and watch the flight pattern of birds. And if you notice any kind of blessings, please share them with Paul and me. And so to close, Paul, I want to invite you up as our new president for a gong and a bow. Thank you.